artfight is about a little over a month away, and they just posted their new rules, which is a little bit controversial. So we're going to talk about it because it alludes to tracing, but I don't think they understand what they're saying. And if you haven't, please subscribe. So let's get to it. Because I know I have a lot of artfight people that watch me and that will participate in artfight. So it comes to Rule 5. Bases, character creators, and doll makers may be used for character images, but must be credited. They may not be used for attacks. This includes websites like Pick Crew, Hero Forge, video game creators, and other doll makers. This includes artwork traced from posable 3D models such as Clip Studio Paint, Design Doll, and similar programs, self-made bases, and photographs you have taken. So I kind of see what they're talking about, but at the same time, they're not explaining what traced means. And that is the entire situation, because traces and references are always a big thing. And some people go, oh, you can just trace if you want, but they don't understand what tracing is, right? So let's go over to Twitter. Well, before we go over to Twitter, I really believe that there's only 2 versions of tracing. So, well, no, there's kind of 3 versions of tracing, but they're using different words based on whatever. So there's the tracing that is you referencing very, very heavily. And I'll show you an example from my own work. Now, as you can see, I did heavily reference this, and some people would assume this is tracing, but this doesn't really line up perfectly, but it lines up enough that someone would accuse me of tracing this, even though I didn't trace it, right? I did not trace this, but it lines up enough that someone would accuse you. Now, I don't know if some of you guys are familiar with this artist. This is Gretzlucky, and she's one of my favorites. She's one of my inspirations, and this is a piece that she drew a while ago, okay? So I'm showing you an example of referencing, right? It's still strong referencing, but still. And then we look over here. Now, I found this in passing because I look at Pinterest. This is clearly the one that she took from. It's in the same position, close. It's close enough that I saw it and I was like, oh, that's the reference, right? But is this what they mean? Because are you not even allowed to use a reference? Because some people would consider this traced. They would. I know they would. They'd go, yeah, this is traced. Even though there's so many things that are different here, some people would say, yeah, that's traced. So what do you mean, artfight? What do you mean? So you guys already knew that this was not going to fly with the online communities on Twitter, and we're gonna have to look at that too, because I mean, I already knew when you say tracing and referencing, people start having ideas on what that looks like. And like for an attack, the thing is I do understand, but at the same time, it's dumb. It's really dumb, because it's not like, is it because somebody is wanting to get something back that they like and you can't even use a 3D model? Bro, shut up. Shut up. So I feel this person here made the best argument for what is tracing, right? This is literally traced over perfectly. You could see everything, and it's just going over the basics, and then that's it. Now, I know people do this. I personally, this is tracing. To me, this is tracing, because you're not really learning much from this, doing this all the time, and your work is always based on having to plagiarize. Now, when I was younger, before I learned how to draw, I did trace a lot of Sonic comics. I traced so many Sonic comics that I eventually learned how to draw in the Sonic style. So I'm not saying that tracing doesn't have a benefit, but for like a project that's like artfight, you probably shouldn't be doing this. Now, this is what they mean by referencing. I 100% agree with this. I agree with this. If you're gonna give somebody shit for drawing some haphazard lines over a body and then making their own version out of it, like, fuck off, bro. Fuck off. Like, you literally put in the work on your own. I think this is perfectly for referencing. And they think here, I really believe that the spirit of the rule is not hostile to referencing. It's hostile to low effort tracing for final products. And they said they hope that artfight can clarify. And then here's somebody who says, artfight isn't banning using references. You're just not allowed to directly trace images for attacks. Stop reading stop spreading misinformation. And it says here that people who use 3D models properly have their submissions taken down for years. So it's an issue, yes. Also, say goodbye to jokey meme drawings traced over people, I guess. This is a fucking art gifting event. Why make it so strict, man? There's also this post, which I don't know how I feel about this one. It says, oh, so they're super ableist now. And it says, saw someone in the official as fuck server say this. If you need to trace a 3D model, I think that's a sign that you need to study anatomy and references. The sooner the crutch is taken away, the better. Oh my god, dude. You don't reading literacy. Do we understand it? I know people are disabled, but when you're using the word crutch in this instance, it's because it's enabling you to continue bad behaviors. And it goes in before someone says it's not ableist. Y'all love throwing that word around. Think for a minute about people for a second. Some people cannot visualize in their head. Some people can't see fully. From their POV, this is a restrictive rule that does exclude disabled artists. I know that they're talking about Fantasia, Fantasia, but I think this person is going a little bit too far. Woke up, it seems like it's a divided opinion on whether or not you consider aphantasia a disability for yourself, and that's fine. That's not my court to argue, but people have said it makes it harder. Please don't forget to think about other people this harms. So I know that I already know what the comments are going to be like, so we're going to talk about this for a second. Aphantasia is very real, and it is. I have somebody in my server who has this, and I am trying to figure out how to help him on my second channel, because I think I have a good idea on how to combat aphantasia working the way that I work, because I can like fully imagine things in my brain, but I don't have a inner voice, and that is like a different thing, right? So I see in pictures, which is a whole different thing. But when it comes to aphantasia, when that comment is still relevant, okay? So there are so many resources. It's the same reason why, like, this is the same excuse someone who uses AI would use. And I'm not accusing this person. I'm saying that it's the same excuse. I can't do X, so I will use AI, okay? It's not an excuse. There are resources out there in the world that you can literally look at. There are resources for things like looking at the muscles. You can look up pictures. The thing is not tracing over the entire thing. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. Like, there's a whole skill set of people who are really good at observing, but don't have any actual, don't have fundamentals, right? They're the people that you typically see that are able to recreate AI images one for one, like Lander art. I've talked so many times about Lander art, because Lander art, I believe that she is one of these artists that just look at a piece and then she can recreate it because she didn't learn any fundamentals. And this is what I'm going to show you as an example. This is clearly a ChatGPT generated image, and she's able to redraw it one for one from the ChatGPT thing, because that's what she's doing. You don't want to be this, okay? You don't want to be this, because when you look at this is fucked up. This is fucked up, and it's weird. I don't believe that she has the skills she says she does, because obviously she has to use AI and who knows what else. Because this style is from the movie, and this is a hot mess. So I believe that she just looked at the picture of this and then just did that. Or she used image to image and got another version of it, and then she has this here. Either way, you don't want to be like that. You want to have strong fundamentals, and you can't get fundamentals unless you're actually doing the work. You guys know what a circle is. You guys know what a square is. I'm not going to treat you like children, saying that there's so many disabled artists, and if they're saying that they're tracing stuff and they're open about it and they're selling commissions or whatever, I don't give a fuck what they do. But saying, well, having aphantasia is a disability that makes it so I have to trace over everything, that is not true. You literally have the image in front of you, okay? You have the image in front of you. You have the reference in front of you. If you can't figure out what it's supposed to look like beneath there, find a reference that doesn't have the jacket or whatever the clothes is. Go into Clip Studio Paint and use the poser. You already know how to reference. You can just go over the basic look and then start from there, because you can't give up trying to draw the fundamentals. There's pictures out there for you to look at. There's Draw a Box. There is a plethora of ways to learn. Saying that you can't learn and you can only trace, in my opinion, is enabling you to become an artist that can only trace. You know what I mean? There is so many tutorials that teach you how to draw the arm. You can draw the arm 100 times in 100 different ways, and then you'll just remember it. Okay? All you need is a good reference. And the creator of Draw a Box, he has aphantasia. So there's ways to go about it. And I know people are going to talk about rotoscoping, but rotoscoping is a different thing. It's just a different thing. And we're people who have nuance here. So as I said with nuance, sometimes it is okay to just trace the thing. You know what I mean? It is okay to sometimes just do it. But it's really for people who already know how to do the thing. It's like a sliding scale. If you're a beginner, you're tracing because you're learning. When you're a pro artist, you're tracing to maybe get something down quicker. When you're in between, you're gaining the skills to just do the thing. It's like, you know how when you're writing, they tell you to learn the craft before you start breaking the rules? It's kind of like that. Because when we come back here, it's like some of y'all are not actually that great at art. What do you mean you can't draw without tracing? What do you mean you think all professional trace poses for illustrations? I mean, they have been caught. They have been caught numerous times. They said no tracing specifically, not forbidding references. Tracing and referencing are different. I used a piece of paper on my laptop screen and traced the Simpsons screenshot I got here. I don't think tracing is a crime against humanity. It's not about it being like, you see like what I mean? It's like the Twitterification of like an argument. And here's someone here. I've got a weird take on the art fight rule as someone with aphantasia. I always got told that tracing is wrong, and I assumed that meant 3D refs as well. And I got into 3D animation because I have aphantasia, because it meant I was able to see what I was doing. What's the rest of it? Did they say more? Oh, here we go. Because of how people have always treated tracers, I was basically taught that I was not allowed to do 2D art ever. I grew to despise art and a lot of creativity because I felt like everyone was saying pick up a pen was a hypocrite because they have a mind's eye and I didn't. Like, how could I ever learn art if every way I could do it was either shunned or physically impossible for me? I made artist friends only in the past year or two. No. I finally picked up a pen and they told me tracing was fine and that learning like that was fine. And that I could pose my own models and then trace them because it was still me creating the poses and I felt like I was allowed. And for the first time to do art, to be creative, I finally got to do something I always wanted to do, considering doing artfight this year. With my terrible lack of skill, because my mates seemed to have so much fun doing it. So that rule, when I read it, felt like back in the 2010s being told to my face, come on, everyone can do this. If you can't, something is wrong with you. Aphantasia's a bitch. I spent ages trying to break out of the toxic way of thinking that artists are just talented and didn't have to put in any effort. I overcame a lot of hangups and toxic viewpoints in my life, and seeing this just reminded me of back then is all. And it seems like a stupid rule. I also believe that it's a stupid rule because, like, honestly, it's like they need to clarify what tracing is, because there's so many, like, a lot of people, I don't even know why it's a big deal if you trace over 3D poses. Like, honestly, who gives a fuck? Like, yeah, you should be learning, and yeah, but this is like this is like art gifts. Like, this is like people gifting you art. Like, who gives a fuck who gives a fuck if they're tracing over a 3D model? Like, who fucking cares? And this person has a point. Tracing models gives you muscle memory for how the anatomy should work in the first place. I don't think artists should be punished for doing it. Me too. This person, we're bringing back tracing allegations instead of AI allegations. Nature is healing. This is by far the funniest defense I've seen in the server. Do you not read? If you trace over them, that's not creating it yourself. You don't own the photos you use for photo bashing. You don't own CSP, some other programs, 3D models. Even if you make it yourself, you still cannot trace them. You can reference them and you can use in real life references, but you cannot trace them. What are you not getting? They're not forbidding references. They're forbidding stealing. Oh my God. I don't even want to read the rest because I'm like annoyed. This person here. Artfight needs to get better at solving tickets before they worry about 3D model tracing, because I know someone who got an attack where the art was literally traced from a reference sheet and the report was low-key ignored by the whole mod team. Oopsie doodles. This person here says, there's nothing wrong with tracing over 3D models and using photos of yourself as a reference / tracing. This is standard in the industry. It shortens the process, especially if you want to focus on other aspects. Studying anatomy and tracing 3D models is not mutually exclusive. Here's their, I guess, traced work, and here's the other thing. So this is what I'm going to say. I feel that none of y'all, I think my audience is extremely smart. I feel in general, a lot of people have no nuance. Okay? So this person said that they made this and then they traced it, right? Why did you, the thing is they copied this straight from the reference. Did you need to copy that? You know what I mean? Did you need to do that? And the thing is like, if she was, or I don't know their pronouns, if the person was much better, like this hand wouldn't be sideways like that. You know what I mean? Like they would have known to turn it around, but because they just trace this to get it done, I guess, it kind of looks a little bit awkward right here. So yeah, sure, they might trace to do shortcuts, but they only trace because they're professionals and they know how to fix this. Like this would be fixed. You know what I mean? I feel like this is not even, I'm not complaining about this person's art style. Okay. I'm not being a dickhead. I'm just judging it based on what they said themselves. I'm not going to make this any bigger, but what I'm going to talk about this because it makes a good point. This is what I'm talking about. I don't trace 3D models, but I use them all the time. And I mean all the time for pose references. Besides, if I wanted to, I could trace them. I bought a magic poser and that's how I can use it if I want to. But when there are problems such as AI tracing and AI itself, the organizers of artfight continue the witch hunt among real artists. Oh no, I'll never be involved in this shit. So you can see, I know that this is probably not what they, well, whatever. This is probably not what they wanted me to talk about, but here they have the pose that they used. But here it's clearly that they referenced it instead of just, because the thing is about those pose references, those pose reference thingies, is they're not that great. Like, do you see how it's broken? And it's broken here. Only an artist who knows what to do with that would be able to fix that. Otherwise, you're actually taking on the errors that happen with 3D models if you're tracing them directly. And here's one that's pretty interesting. Honestly, I genuinely think they misworded it extremely, and they are being very vague about what they exactly mean by tracing for art. This is my message in the server like yesterday. Ignore the self-glaze. I love pressing reactions when someone adds them. Oh, and if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel. I put out videos twice a week if I can, sometimes 3. And go over to my Patreon where I put up my stories if you're interested in my fantasy world, and my other stuff that are unreleased videos and stuff. Okay, and my full res art. Anyway, let's read this. Okay, my final and honest to God opinion about the tracing rule is that tracing for reference to outline the basic shapes is allowed, but is not allowed for the final piece. Use the traced image as a reference to know how to draw such things as poses. Again, references are allowed, just no tracing for the final piece. Genuinely, if that's not how the rule works at all, then I don't agree, but I'm pretty sure that that's quite literally what it means. It's just badly worded and everyone thinks references is forbidden now. Okay, y'all, I have a little bit of a theory. I have a game theory. Just hear me out. Hear me out. I know you guys might not agree with me, but just hear me out. Artfight is becoming a bigger thing. Every year that it's done, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, right? It's so big that companies are now looking at it, right? What if the reason why they're doing that is because they have intentions on at some point selling the idea of artfights to like a company of some sort. Somehow they want to sell it, because if they didn't want to sell it, I don't know. It feels a little, I know I'm reaching into the depths, but I always like to think, I like to be a little bit a step ahead of the game when I think of why they would want to do something like this, and they haven't clarified, and it's been like a whole day. So, because they're definitely not memeing, so they're fucking around, and if they're fucking around, like, whatever. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming, and tell me what you think. Like, do you guys, I mean, I know a lot of you guys participate in art fight, and if you want, if you guys are going to participate in art fight, I do have like art challenges Discord. If you guys want to post your little art fight stuff there, it's just really an invitation. Not serious at all. Do you think that long term they're going to try to sell art fight as something? Do you think that they're bullshitting around this rule? And please have nuance in the comments. You guys know what I mean. Don't be like, but Nimbus, I swear to God, you know what I need? I need to make like a but Nimbus like toggle or something. I don't even know what I would need, but I would need something. Also, about the story on my Patreon, I have decided I'm going to write a sapphic story in my fantasy world that is with a nun and a scholar. So if that's interesting to you, I don't know. I guess I just want to hear feedback about what you think about it, or if you think it's dumb or whatever. I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye!